Hey you guys, happy Monday. We are doing some makeup today. We're gonna do 90s makeup trends. I wanted to share the makeup trends that were really popular the year I was born. So I'm a mid-90s baby, and I feel like this is such a fun time in makeup. Like it's either that 90s glam, like the supermodel glam, Cindy Crawford, or it's more of the grunge, like Drew Barrymore look. So we're kind of gonna lean into the grunge today. And Drew is going to be our inspo, as well as a little bit of Kate Moss, because I feel like she has that rock star vibe going on in the 90s with like the leather jacket and the eyeliner. Winona Ryder, and a little bit of Reese Witherspoon, and most importantly, my mom. So my mom was definitely someone who did all of these makeup trends. I remember growing up, mostly she wore like that burgundy kind of wine lip color. So she didn't really wear like a lot of frosted lip shades, but it's a certain color. Okay, this is it right here. 90s glam, kind of grunge with the eyeliner, the wine lip. This is the color my mom wore. I'm gonna show you a photo of her makeup in the 90s. But we're not gonna be layering on the bronzer and blush today. We're gonna be doing matte skin, these bold lips, eyeliner. I'm excited because I do not wear my makeup like this, so I can't wait to see how it turns out. These vibes right here. So this lip color and then like the soft matte skin. Drew Barrymore is a 90s icon. And this is very on point for like the makeup my mom wore. My mom was a lipstick mom. I actually saw this on TikTok. I saw this trend where they're like, did you have a lipstick mom? Yes, I did. If she was wearing anything on her face, it was always lipstick. And I'm gonna put a photo of her right here. So this is like basically her everyday 90s glam. I remember her wearing growing up, so we're gonna recreate it. A huge 90s trend is matte skin. So when I looked up a lot of photos of celebrities during this time, I really did not see anything on the skin that was glowy, which is so opposite from today's makeup trends. So, you know, we all see like the glazed skin, like the glowy, dewy looks are so popular right now. And it's pretty much like everyone's go-to from what I see. But in the 90s, there was none of that. Like there was shimmer on the lips, like if there was like a metallic lipstick being worn, or maybe a little bit on the eyes. So like a frosted, like metallic shiny eye look. But as far as the skin, when I looked at a lot of photos, I just saw kind of like the same base look, which was really matte. And since we're going for more of a grunge look, I'm not going to do a ton of bronzer or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to do any bronzer. I might put a little bit of blush, but we're just going to keep it super matte. Sometimes this 90s matte makeup was kind of glam. It was very glam, or it was a little bit more like on the chalky side. So we're kind of embracing that today and doing a little bit of like a mixture of both. And I'm using a powder foundation. This is from Maybelline. I used two shades. I used 118 and 110. And we are looking rather ghostly at this point, but I really don't want to add like too much bronzer or blushes or anything like that, like too many shadows, because this kind of look was actually really flat. Like it didn't have a lot of dimension to it. If you did see some blush in the 90s, it was kind of a natural color. So I used a little bit of Melba from MAC just to add a little bit of life back to my face, because we're looking super pale. We need just a little pinch of color before we jump into brows, which I actually just did. So we're keeping the brows very thin. There's this really interesting YouTube video that you guys have to watch, but Cindy Crawford talks about how Kevin Aquan tweezed all of her brow hairs off at a shoot, and she didn't realize that he did it until after, and she was kind of shocked by how she looked, and she was really worried about her future jobs and stuff from her lack of eyebrows. But it actually ended up landing her even more bookings and more shoots and more covers from this brow look that he created on her. So some of her photos that you might see, she has like the really full thick brows, but this was when he did her brows, and he also did this to Kate Moss too. Really interesting video, but thin brows were so huge in the 90s. My mom also tweezed her brows super thin. Now, I feel like my brows are pretty thin, so we're just gonna roll with it and do a little tiny bit of like a tint to them. And speaking of Kevin, I am using the Kevin Aquan brushes for this look today. I'm gonna link all the products I'm using at the end of the story. But for brows, I'm just gonna go with my natural brow shape. So I actually used to have thicker brows as well, but I waxed them all off when I was in high school. And I've had thin brows ever since. So I'm gonna keep this kind of arched shape, but just darken them a little bit so you can see them. And instead of fluffing them up, I'm actually gonna bring like the hairs a little bit down so they appear thinner. Okay, so the lip just really did it for me. Like, this is so 90s, it's crazy. This was the lipstick my mom wore. It's called Toast of New York and it's from Revlon. It's also like the Cindy Crawford color. It looks a little bit like more warm in some makeup looks. Like if you pair it with eyeshadow, it can look a little bit more brown, but it kind of has this hint of burgundy to it. So I used Revlon's chocolate lip liner with it to get this kind of look. And it's so perfect. I also feel like if you're doing a 90s look, you can start with lips and you can see how much you want to do with eyes. Because right now I feel like we're already there. Like this kind of, it just makes it 90s, like this color. I also feel like Revlon and also Rimmel have some of the best 90s lipsticks out there. I actually did a video on 90s lipsticks a while ago. I'll share it later today so you guys could see it. But Revlon lipsticks are so nostalgic. They have amazing colors. Like these are the most classic lipsticks ever. They also feel really good on your lips. Like they're so comfortable to wear. Winona looks so much like my mom. It kind of blows my mind a little bit, especially in this photo. But I did a little bit of that eyeliner and I basically just took it and I put it like at the corner of my eye, closed my eye, and then dragged it across. Now you don't want to blend it out too much. Like even I blended it out a little bit too much. So I'm going to soften it up a little bit, especially like on the lid. But this eyeliner is kind of like that cool girl eyeliner. It's not like a wing or anything. It's a little bit smoky, but mostly on the inside of the eye. So on the upper and lower waterline. And it's pretty thin, so you don't want to smoke it out too low. You want to keep it right where it is and just lightly blend out. But these are the 90s vibes. I'm going to do a little mascara. Look at this. And this eyeliner is the Classic Eye Powder Pencil in Classic Black from Charlotte Tilbury. So it is actually like a really matte kind of eyeliner. It's not super smudgy or wet, which I really like. And I find that when an eyeliner is like this, it stays on really well. So I just used it to kind of enhance like my lash line and do a little bit of that tight lining. And then I'm going to go in with some Great Lash from Maybelline. Does this like really bring me back? Because whenever I see this mascara, it reminds me of my childhood. Like this is the most iconic mascara out there. Like when you see this green top and the pink tube, you just know what it is. You just know. To complete this look, we have to throw on a leather jacket. Now this isn't just any leather jacket. This is my mom's leather jacket from the 80s. She used to wear this in high school and she has kept it for this long and it still is in really good condition. So I'm gonna put it on. She told me she used to sleep in this to like break it in. Like you wanted your leather jacket to be like worn and like broken in and like softer. So, you know, it actually looks really, really good considering this is from the 80s. Okay, are we getting those 90s vibes? This is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was really fun and definitely very different from what I normally wear with my makeup, but I love it. I love the way it turned out.